Obituary, Notorious B I G, by Pierre Perrone for Independent, Monday 10th March 1997. Last Friday, British record executives and media were treated to an exclusive playback of Notorious B I G's forthcoming album, Life After Death. On it was a track called You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You, which the New York rapper dedicated to his rival, the late Tupac Shakur, who was murdered in Las Vegas in September last year. Yesterday came the news that Notorious B I G had himself been gunned down as he left a party in California. As in a bad movie, life imitates art and rap repeats itself. Born Christopher Wallace 24 years ago, B.I.G. grew up in the Bedford-Stuyvesant area, one of the thuggest neighborhoods in Brooklyn, New York. His childhood was bleak, surrounded by crackheads and drug dealers. Indeed, by his teens, Notorious B.I.G. had fallen for the lifestyle that was all around him. Hustlers were my heroes, he later admitted. Everything happened on the strip I grew up in. It didn't matter where you went, it was all in your face. The rapper did it all, hanging around street corners, acting as a lookout, making deals. Soon, the fun and games took a darker turn. The police and rival gangs were after him, and several of his friends got shot and ended up in coffins. When he wasn't dealing, the young Chris was making music. As Biggie Smalls, he rapped with the Old Gold Brothers crew and borrowed a couple of turntables, a mic, a mixer, and a cassette deck to do some scratching and record himself over the brick beats. Word got around the neighborhood and tape landed in the hands of Big Daddy Kane's Mr. C. The DC passed the demo onto an editor and the Source, America's #1 first hip-hop magazine. Wallace was featured in the Unsigned Hype column and was then introduced to Sean Puffy Combs, the maverick figure behind Bad Boy Entertainment. By 1993, the rapper had become Notorious B.I.G. and was guesting on Mary J. Blige's Real Love and Supercat's Dolly Mae Baby. The strategy was already paying off, but to gain further exposure, B.I.G. recorded Party and Bullshit, which was included in the soundtrack to the movie Who's the Man. The following year, the rapper completed his debut album, the prophetically titled Ready to Die, which chronicled his transition from a life of crime to the rapper rhymes. Singles like Juicy, One More Chance, and Big Poppa reached the Billboard Top 5, the last track earning the Rap Single of the Year award from the publication. The album went platinum, selling over 1 million copies in the US. B.I.G. was also voted Best New Artist, Best Live Performer, and Lyricist of the Year by The Source, the magazine which had given him his first break. On a rare UK visit, he proved himself the equal of the swing beat star R. Kelly, whom he was supporting at Wembley Arena. He was in even more stellar company, guessing on Michael Jackson's High Story Past, Present and Future Book 1. But if you could take the rapper out of the neighborhood, you couldn't take the hood out of the rapper. B.I.G. formed a group called Mafia with some of his former hustler friends and appeared on their Conspiracy album. In May 1995, he allegedly beat up a man in a dispute over a cancelled performance in New Jersey. The argument was eventually settled with a $25,000 payoff this January. Last year, B.I.G. wielded a baseball bat to autograph hunters and was sentenced to 100 hours of community service. A few months later, police checking a parking complaint found marijuana and firearms at Wallace's New Jersey home. In the autumn, Brooklyn Patrol caught B.I.G. smoking a joint in a parked car and charged him with drug possession. But worst of all was the long-running feud between Notorious B.I.G., Sean Combs and Bad Boy on one side and Tupac Shakur, Marion Suge Knight, and Death Row Records on the other. Shakur was convinced that Wallace was somehow involved in 1994 robbery in which Shakur was wounded and robbed of $40,000 worth of jewelry. The dispute festered and became an open wound between the East Coast and the West Coast scene. After Shakur's murder in Las Vegas, Notorious B I G was one of the few hip-hop stars not involved in the Rap Peace Summit in Harlem. However, with the forthcoming release of Life After Death, featuring guests like Lil' Kim, Wallace seemed ready to face up his ghosts and make amends. Tracks like Notorious Thugs with Bone Thugs and Harmony and You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You indicate as much. The sleeve depicting the rapper standing next to a hearse with a B.I.G. number plate will no doubt become the subject of much analysis and controversy by a hip-hop scene in which some people still maintain that Tupac Shakur faked his own death. As Notorious B.I.G. told Billboard magazine last week, I bring the problems and the situations that I've been through in my life into my music. You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You is my favorite track. I like what the hook is saying. It brings to mind the expression, "You'll miss me when I'm gone." Pier Perrone, Christopher Wallace, Notorious B.I.G., rap artist, born 1972, died Los Angeles, 8th March 1990.